Good evening, everyone. I'm making this video while there is a worldwide clash seen in real time by everyone, by Elon Musk and Donald Trump. I don't want to enter into the reason of this discussion. Could be, I don't know, maybe even a very clever political plot in order to set up a second party that eventually, after the Trump mandate, could replace the Republican. I don't know. It's not why I'm talking to you. I'm trying simply to profit from that situation in order to explain, or try to explain, why one of the subjects that has been brought forward to explain this kind of row against Trump and Musk is not relevant. And this is the size of the public debt and of the US deficit. For who doesn't know me, I'm Claudio Borghi. I'm the senator of the Italian Republic. I used to be the head of the budget committee of the lower chamber of the Italian Republic. I'm former degree in economics and former managing director of Deutsche Bank and director of Merrill Lynch, all on financial market. So, why the public debt is not the problem that sometimes is said to be? I try to make it as simple as I can. The state is the source of both the debt and both the money. Let's suppose that this is a dollar. This is printed by the Treasury. So the Treasury prints dollar. Of course, it doesn't need to print in paper. It's simply done by crediting the account, and make so via the central bank. The central bank is owned by the state. So the state uses the central bank to print money. The Treasury, without the central bank in the middle, prints debt. So I take this one is a mini bot, but people that knows me in Italy knows who they are. But let's say that this is a paper representation of a Treasury bill. Both are printed by the state. So why should we be worried about the debt and we are not worried by the currency? Mr. Greenspan once said, when he was asked whether the public debt of the US was safe, and he said pretty much so, because we can always print money to pay for it. It's so simple. So imagine that when this bond came due, there is no one willing to buy again a new bond. Well, it seems that the state must find the money to repay the owner of this debt, but they can't print money. It's impossible that the state runs out of money. So it prints money and repays the debt. So there is zero possibility for the state to default on his own debt. Sometimes happened in the past, Russia did once, Ecuador or something like this, but it was a political decision. Could happen if ever, for some reason, I don't know, a state would not be willing to repay his debt printing money for any reason. But usually that is not a problem. Why the state use the debt? Because supposing that the state decided to use to print only currency and to finance everything that he needs with currency. As I told you, is a choice. He could do so. But what happens? What happens that if the family has only currency and not public debt, and the family are, I mean, encouraged to have savings, because it's important that then a family has savings. You don't know what could happen in the future. Maybe in the future you need a new car. Maybe in the future you need, I don't know, to pay for medicines. You need for pay for surgeon and for the school for the children. And so that's why family is important that they have savings. But let's suppose that there is only cash available. If there is only cash available, what it means that supposing that the family thinks to stash some I don't know $1,000 as a savings, well, the inflation simply eroded the value of the savings. So you start the year with this banknote that could buy you, I don't know, 10 tomatoes, and then at the end of the year, if there is 10% inflation, you can only buy 9 tomatoes with this bill. So that's why it's not good for a system that thinks that it's important to have savings, because having only cash erodes the savings and pushes to spend as much as you can. So that's why you print debt, because what happens is that the family, the state prints the debt, he receives the money from the citizens owns the debt. At the end of the year, he will receive the par value of the debt plus some interest. But this interest should be designed to cover only the inflation. So there is no one that really gains, because the state receives the cash from the citizens and pays the difference between the initial value of the cash received and the final value of the cash received in form of interest. So the bond that the citizens got devalues, but on top received the interest. The cash that the state received devalues, so it's got to pay less to the owner of the bond, but he gives a small interest, so no one gains. It's simply a shift in value. So, in fact, it doesn't matter what is the size of the debt. As long as it's managed in a sensible way, the total amount of the debt shrinks every year by the value of inflation and pays out the interest in order to cover this inflation. That's the main reason, as far as I know, for this system based on the debt. But there is no risk of default if ever you have your debt that is denominated in the currency that you control. Argentina can default, because if ever a state decided to make debt in a foreign currency, and Argentina did with the IMF and the international lenders, and decided to make their debt in a foreign currency, then you don't have the control of the money, and so you cannot repay, if at will, your debt. The only constraint that you have is linked by two factors. The one is inflation, and the second one is the trade balance. So, if ever Mr. Musk would have said that the reason for having a contractionary budget is in order to rein in the trade deficit, well, this could have been matter of discussion, because US has got a huge trade deficit, and making a balanced budget or even a contractionary budget is one of the way to rein in this trade deficit, simply because you give less money to the citizens. Your citizens, having less money, spend less. Spending less, they import less, and that's why your trade deficit shrinks. But you are already doing so with tariffs. Tariffs are aimed to shrink your trade deficit. You are already doing so devaluing the dollars. If you add on top of this a contractionary budget, so it means that you actually take money out of your economy, well, I think that could go wrong and could be too painful than what is necessary. So in my opinion, President Trump makes a sensible decision, and I think that Scott Bessent knows what it means because he was a fan of Abenomics. So the wise decision to make a bill that is expansionary can offset the other two components that still probably could be able to rein in and to reduce the trade deficit. That means the difference of the amount of goods that US import and the one that they export, without making too painful for the country to have, I don't know, 1, 2, 3 year maybe of contraction. Contraction means that firm will shut. Contraction means that there will be a business that will go bankrupt, and it's not something that I would advise to. So in my opinion, the idea of Trump and Scott Bessent to make a budget that is not contractionary is sensible, and I don't think that Mr. Musk should think that this is something undermining the work that he did with the Department of Efficiency for the government, because the fact that you need to put money in the economy in order to avoid a recession doesn't mean that you can do better with the money that you spend. So if you squander a lot of money, for example, in USAID or propaganda things, or sending pension to dead people or something like this, well, that's a great improvement for the state. So it doesn't mean that it's not useful, this kind of job. But if you simply cut expenses and you are not replacing with some productive expenses, on the other hand, you risk to be mired in a recession, and it's not something that it's advisable in this moment. So, once for all, the deficit, it's the money that you pour into your economy. If you make zero deficit, it means that you have to shrink at the moment the amount of money that you are pouring into the economy, and this is probably a good way to start a recession. Is a matter of concern because your deficit will add up to the debt? No, because what I said, the debt is not a problem because you control the currency that they are printed to. You are concerned about inflation? Maybe. But remember that there is a trade-off between inflation and unemployment. In my opinion, it's at the moment, at this level of inflation, unemployment is much more dangerous than inflation. A moderate inflation, let's say 4%, even 5%, is something manageable. So in my opinion, Scott Bessent got it right. Mr. Musk did an exceptional job in finding out what are some expenses, some wasted money from the government. Still, the argument that this budget is going to make America insolvent, it's probably, I don't know, came from someone that show some Austrian way of thinking of economics, that if you are very rich, it's tempting, but it's not the reality. There is zero risk of default if you control your currency, for the same reason that it's the state that prints the money and it's the state that prints the debt. Let's say that probably you remember what is the amount of money taken back by the Federal Reserve during the quantitative easing program. I don't remember the exact number for the US, but it's massive. So at the moment, this debt is held in the coffins of the Federal Reserve. If tomorrow the Federal Reserve is going to cancel that debt, and doing so it's simply to push a button, no one will know. The sun rises again, the morning you wake up and make a little tour with your dog, you sip your coffee. But actually this is a debt that is already being repaid. The Federal Reserve printed money. With that money printed out of nothing, bought back some debt that was savings by the citizens. So the citizen has been paid, he received money, and so now the citizen has got the money, has got no credit outstanding. The credit of the citizens, that is the debt of the state, is in the coffins of the Federal Reserve. So it means that the state is the debtor and the Federal Reserve is the creditor. But both are part of the state. So it's like a consolidated budget. And if you are both debtor and creditor, then you can raise your debt. So should be easy. Should be easy and not a matter of concern. This is the simplest thing that I can do to explain this funny thing about the debt and why the public debt is not a matter of concern. Thank you for taking your time with me. Today is my birthday, and it's simple. US is not Argentina, US is not Italy that doesn't control the central bank. The only question that one should pose is, if does the US government has full control of the Federal Reserve? This is the question. Because if the question is no, then it's a problem. But if the question has an answer a yes, as it should be, because the Federal Reserve should be part of the state, then there is zero risk of any kind of default for the debt. And the only political decision that a government should take is whether is possible to choose between a little bit more inflation, a little bit less of employment, or this kind of parameter. Where is the quickness where they wanted to shrink the trade deficit? What is the level of tariffs that the state wanted to impose in order to try to reshore back the business into the US in order to have more domestic production than to rely on imported goods? These are political choices. There is no receipt for free money. There is no receipt to print 1 million to give to every citizen. This is stupid things that are, you know, told in order to hide this simple truth. But for the rest, the argument that having a deficit can lead to the US being insolvent is baseless. For the rest, I don't want to go into the reason of the argument between Musk and Trump, but this is the debate that should be done, and the right way to address the political choices should be made on facts and not on legend, because the legend of the state running out of money or the scarcity of the money is a legend, and so not to be taken seriously. Thank you so much. Bye.